Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new episode of Knowing Wheel. Yes, episode 70, and Formula 1 is finally back this weekend. Of course, as always, I'm joined by Jamie183. How are we doing, mate, in your all-new environment?
I'm good. I'm once again in a new location. But yes, I'm currently on holiday, which is lovely. It doesn't mean I've not really looked at much F1 news for the last week. But here we are.
Yeah, exactly. I think this week we're both... I'm trying to hope that I look a little bit more tanned. Of course, I was away last week, but I don't think it's really happened. I think my arms have done all right, but still, I don't tan. I just kind of burn is what happens to me.
Yeah, that's not surprising for someone who has a full-time job of playing games inside.
Yeah, we'll discuss that, I'm sure, at a later point down the line. But yeah, before we get into it, though, anything else exciting going on in the world of Jamie183?
Well, I'm going to the race this weekend. That'll be fun. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yes, yeah, no, that should be very, very exciting. We expect next week, well, obviously, we're going to get our trackside reporting from the Belgian Grand Prix. Kind of mad that'll be the third one this year between us, isn't it?
Yeah. How many races have there been? 12?
This is around 14.
Oh, 14. So yeah.
We're averaging 1 in 5 between us.
Yeah, pretty good going.
That's not
Got to improve on that next year.
We will. We'll continue to try and up every year how many Grand Prix between us we go to. That's the goal down the line. But yeah, to be honest, it's a little bit weird jumping back into it, of course, because if you watched last week's video, where we went through and reacted to our pre-season predictions, would definitely recommend going back and check it out if you didn't, because safe to say, I think we both got quite humbled, didn't we?
So Alfa Romeo, I was good at.
And Ferrari, I was good at.
Gonna cling on to that.
Exactly. I think we're both trying to cling on to one shred of hope into the second half of the year. But yeah, it was quite a fun little show to do. But of course, we actually did that 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? So it feels like, a very, very long time since we've actually sat down and got into a podcast. So we apologise. These shows are normally, I think, rusty is probably the best way to describe them anyway. But yeah, we apologise for that today. But of course, as always, though, links will be down below, even for everything. If you want to check out Bybit, I would definitely recommend doing that. We've got links to, obviously, clips, podcast, Spotify links, everything else you'll ever need will be all linked down there as well. And of course, timestamps. If you want to just see a specific point on this week's show, you can skip forward, skip back, or just skip right to the very end where we do our predictions are ready for Belgium. But yeah, it's been a bit of a weird summer break, hasn't it, Jamie?
Yeah, definitely. We spoke 2 podcasts ago about how mental everything was in the week that we were late to, with all of the Alonso sending F1 into mayhem.
Why were we late to it? Just remind me.
I might have been away.
Jamie missed the biggest week of F1 in the year.
Yes. So yeah, but then ever since then, nothing's really happened, and that crisis that Alonso plunged us all into hasn't really been resolved either.
No.
So it's been a bit strange because we kind of had chaos, and then we just stopped.
Yeah, but it's almost like I guess the best analogy we can probably give is Alonso started a house fire. Now, it's still burning, but everyone's got bored of trying to put it out.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of just stuck here with a house slowly burning down. But that chucks us quite nicely in, doesn't it? To sort of the first talking point of the week. I think we're gonna try and beat that dead horse just a little bit more. There are some different rumours about who might be going to Alpine now, isn't there? And the most recent one's been Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, it's looking... Well, we know that he's left the Ferrari Driver Academy, or he's going to at the end of the season. That's for sure. And
Richard, sorry.
Yeah, Richard. And then, the Haas seat that he is in is obviously for the Ferrari juniors. So either he's got a win over Haas enough to keep him on and cut those ties with Ferrari, or he's going to lose his seat. And yeah, I don't think he's done quite enough. Obviously had a very short good run of form across Austria and Silverstone, but then since then it's not gone great for him again, and he has been out-qualified by Magnussen quite comfortably this season. So yeah, the problem is for Ferrari, there's not really many candidates of who could go in for that junior seat. I saw that they're giving Robert Schwartzman some FP1s later in the season for Haas and for Ferrari. So that could be one to watch. I don't think they'll bring back Giovinazzi as a young driver at 28.
Oh, don't.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, that has allowed Mick Schumacher to sort of explore his options a bit. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he's banking on Uncle Seb giving him the Aston seat, but that didn't happen. So yeah, he's now got to find a new seat fairly sharpish, and Alpine are definitely looking for a driver. So yeah, that could be a safe bet, although it's not the most inspiring driver lineup if you've got Ocon and Schumacher, to be honest. But
Yeah.
let's wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit weird, isn't it, at the moment? Because there's sort of now talks, like we said, obviously, could Mick go to Alpine and then Daniel Ricciardo spend a year at Haas? I mean, Haas then would have a very, very feisty lineup, but I'm not sure Daniel Ricciardo would want to go down to Haas either. And then, of course, he'd have to try and buy out the Ferrari seat for a year.
Yeah. And the wage cut, if he went to Haas, would be insane. I don't know if he's...
I mean, he's going to have to take a wage cut at this point, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking back to when 2019, when Hulkenberg was looking for a seat, and Haas and Williams couldn't afford Hulkenberg.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if they'll be able to afford Ricciardo. But
no, exactly.
Yeah, it depends how desperate he is, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very weird, isn't it, suddenly? Because we kind of thought a lot of these pieces are going to fall into place, and now suddenly they aren't again. I mean, Mick Schumacher's been very vocal this week, hasn't he? Sort of saying, people need to look at the numbers. Look at the data behind the numbers more than the numbers, which is basically Formula One's equivalent of the table's line.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't sort of know what numbers he's looking at, but he has been thoroughly beaten by Kevin Magnussen this year.
Yeah.
It's weird though, because at the start of the year we kind of spoke about Mick maybe not having a drive next year. That now sort of seems to have all gone away, but only really because he's had 2 decent races. I think there's
he had
still
2
every
good
chance.
weekends. And in both those weekends, Magnussen was right behind him anyway. He just managed to get the edge on Magnussen, who is obviously a decent driver, but he's not exactly top. Like, in the first stage of his career, he was always good, but he was never something special. Maybe arguably other than his first season at McLaren. So
his first race at McLaren, really.
First race at McLaren was kind of it. But yeah, it's interesting because you can only beat what's in front of you. He obviously put Mazepin to bed very easily. But then Magnussen, it's difficult because he's obviously a decent driver, but if you're ranking like drivers by skill, Magnussen probably isn't top 10 on the grid.
He's probably close, isn't he?
He's right on the cusp, yeah. But then it's not exactly like the end of last season when Latifi started beating Russell, and you're like, hang on, is Latifi actually good, or is Russell just checked out?
Yeah, it's
because you know that Russell's a very good driver, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And the same with now Russell beating or holding a candle to Hamilton.
Well, he's still beating him at the moment.
Yeah, he's still beating him.
I mean, that's something we can discuss later on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like Schumacher's got to have a big second half of the season.
Yes.
In order to guarantee himself on the grid next year.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be fair, it would be a bizarre way for Robert Schwartzman to end up back in, if he ever made it to Formula 1 now. Because I remember, what was it, his first year in Formula 2 was 2019, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he was really good for a rookie.
He was rapid for a rookie, and then just never seemed to build on it. And then obviously,
he ended up finishing second last year.
He did finish second last year. He did beat out Zhou Guanyu, but of course, everyone was thoroughly trounced by Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the other thing that could well end up happening is Alpine win their court case against Piastri. He stays there. Ricciardo stays at McLaren, and Mick Schumacher stays at Haas, and nothing happens. Nothing
happens at all. All you've got is Alonso replacing Vettel, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I think Alonso's too clever for Otmar to allow them to have leverage over a court, to be honest.
Oh, I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. Speaking of Alonso, I don't know if you've read an interesting interview that I saw this week. When he came back to Formula 1, rather interestingly, he was worried about looking like returned Kimi and Michael Schumacher, interestingly.
That is curious. I saw the headline. I didn't read it. I don't know why he's included Kimi in that. Because
Kimi is such an odd driver, isn't he? Because, to be honest, we probably even got into Formula 1 after the height of his powers.
Or certainly after the hype had sort of died down.
Yeah.
Because I remember '09 really well. He was good, but obviously the car was terrible.
I'm just trying to think, because...
He stole away Giancarlo Fisichella's race win, which I'm not too happy about still.
Yeah. Because if I remember
Belgium, actually, there you
go. He was still behind Massa, wasn't he, by the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix in the championship? Because everyone sort of spoke about, Massa was...
They had a podium each. Raikkonen got one at Monaco, I think, and Massa got one the race before Hungary, I think. What would that have been? Germany? Nürburgring?
Yeah,
I think that was it anyway.
I can't even see the full Drivers' Championship order.
Yeah, you can't. I'm pretty sure it was either close or Massa was just ahead. But then Ferrari in '09, they didn't score points for the first 3 races.
No, exactly.
So and that was on pure pace. That wasn't because they messed anything up, apart from putting Raikkonen on wets 10 minutes early at Malaysia. But there we go.
Yeah, but I mean, Kimi just had such an odd F1 career, didn't he? When you look back at it.
But when he came back, obviously he was just trouncing Grosjean in a car that definitely should have won more races. In 2012 and 2013. Well, it did win 2.
Yeah.
But it should have won more. Yeah. And then, at Ferrari, 2014 was a disaster. But then when he had Vettel as a teammate, he was always okay. Obviously, he didn't have the heights of what Vettel had. But then 2018, he was very decent. Got the most podiums on the grid apart from Hamilton. So yeah, he was a weird one. I think obviously he had a longer second half of his career than Alonso or Schumacher will do, or did.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Kimi sort of didn't really have a return. He kind of just had 2 halves.
Yeah.
In fact, he came back for as many years as he was in the sport prior.
What was he? 01 to 09.
Yeah,
and then
so
12
9 seasons.
To 21. Yeah.
So he had completely even either end. Obviously, second half just had more races in it. But yeah, I mean, Michael Schumacher, of course, we all know the story of that comeback. I mean, to be honest, it was probably doomed before it even began. Because, of course, I mean, it is always... I know we've spoken about this before, but when you can watch some of the pre-season interviews before 2010, and so many pundits thought this was it. He was just going to take an 8th world title.
The hype was crazy. I think everyone was lulled into the fact that 09, the driver quality wasn't quite there. Obviously, people didn't realise Vettel was any good at that point. People kind of knew that Button and Barrichello were very okay drivers, but they weren't exactly top level.
And, of course, Merck thought they were buying a winning team.
Yeah. People thought Rosberg was a bit of a clown. So, the hype around Schumacher the hype around Schumacher was crazy. People were like, he's going to win races. He might have a shot at the championship. But, the Mercedes in 2010 and 2011 wasn't really there.
No.
And then 2012 had a few high points. And I just wish he could have got that pole at Monaco still.
Yeah.
Such a shame, but there we go.
It's always those talks as well, isn't it? Of course, everything obviously that happened after he left Formula 1 as well. But, what would have happened if, say, at the end of 2012, he'd signed another 2-year deal?
Well, Rosberg would have been a 3-time champ. Probably.
Well, Rosberg would have definitely been a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
But they would have brought in Hamilton anyway once Michael gave it up.
Or someone else. Do you know that the second choice, if Hamilton hadn't gone to Mercedes for 2013...
Was Hülkenberg.
Yeah. That could have been lovely.
It could have, but instead it was brilliant
Nico.
instead.
Yeah, I imagine Hülkenberg as like a 3-time champ. I'd have literally never shut up about that.
I wouldn't have been a 3-time world champion.
No, he might have got 1 against Rosberg, I don't know.
Yeah, 2015 Rosberg, he could have beat.
Yeah.
I mean, we have gone so far off track there.
Yeah,
that is
we'll come back to the present day.
By our standards.
But yeah, Alonso doesn't want to look like these failed returnees, apparently. Which, to be fair, he hasn't.
No.
Yeah.
He's doing very well. Return.
And especially now that he gets to go up against Lance Stroll for as long as he wants, he can probably just stat pad, really.
Pretty much, isn't it? I mean, you just think you're just going to get your qualifying percentage beaten over teammate just up to about sort of 75-80%.
It's already about 80%, isn't it? He's whitewashed 2 drivers, isn't he?
Yeah, I suppose it's probably at least sort of 70-ish.
Yeah. So he's going to just get permanent whitewashes till he's about 45. And then by then Lawrence Stroll might sell the team. So you never know.
Yeah, because this was something else I was thinking about this week. It's not actually on the podcast notes, but sort of a shower thought I've had recently. We have surely got to be now on the current longest streak ever in Formula 1 of not losing a team.
Yeah, we probably are. Just thinking about
2016 was the last time we lost a team.
Yeah, all of the teams like throughout the previous eras of F1, certainly before the 90s, teams were just coming and going like no tomorrow.
Well, exactly. And then even obviously during the 90s, we still had the Italian mob.
Yeah,
obviously
Andrea
late 90s.
Moda.
Exactly.
Like all of those kind of teams.
Well, I'm just sort of looking back, of course, because we lost Manor in 2016. Obviously, we lost Caterham 2014 and HRT 2012. Super Aguri was 2008. Obviously, Toyota 2010 or 2009.
Yeah.
And then obviously prior to that, who left? Jordan Menard. Well, Jordan kind of.
Jordan
Minardi,
kind of. Actually, yeah. Before Super Aguri, there'd been a bit of a streak, but I don't know when it went back till.
Yeah.
What did Prost do when they finished? That was 2002, wasn't it?
Prost, I think, completely collapsed in on itself, didn't it?
Yeah, so I reckon that maybe was the last one.
Before Super Aguri. I feel like we're missing one obvious one here. Again,
the likes
it depends
of
on sort of
Jaguar,
what you count as a collapse, doesn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Because
I guess you could count Honda, because they basically collapsed, didn't they?
Well, yeah. But I think this is sort of the weird thing, isn't it? I've sort of been wondering, F1's in a pretty good place right now. You know, we're looking, Porsche meant to be confirming very soon. Audi is still looking at it. Engine regs are out as well. That was sort of the big news we had this week. But to be honest, we're probably not that qualified to talk about it.
No.
So we probably won't embarrass ourselves too much discussing that. But it's might be obviously quite a good time to own a Formula 1 team at the moment. Yeah,
the growth socially has obviously been well documented and massive, as you well know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good time for Formula 1 generally.
Exactly. Sorry, shower thought over then. Let's get back into the stuff we really need to talk about. Of course, Belgian GP, like we said, finally, we're getting the new technical directive in for the porpoising.
Yes. Yeah. Which should, well, people have been saying it should favour Mercedes, or at least it should limit what Red Bull and Ferrari have been doing because of the sensor positioning on the floor. Yes, we'll have to wait and see if it does make a difference. It could be one of these things that just doesn't. We'll have to, yeah.
It's so weird.
It remains to be seen. But I think the form Mercedes have been showing recently, obviously back-to-back double podiums in France and Hungary, they could make that final step up.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those weird ones, isn't it? Where we either hype it up and Mercedes are still exactly the same distance away from the top two as they are, or in the perfect world, they're fighting Red Bull and Ferrari on pretty much level terms.
Or in a terrible world, they're back to being a second ahead.
They're just half a second clear of everyone else. And it's just terrible. Hamilton and Russell even, just trying to close up the gap to Verstappen by the end of the year.
That would be quite an exciting end, to be fair, but I wouldn't like it for 2023.
No, exactly. But, I mean, it should be interesting, of course, because you sort of think it's been Ferrari and Red Bull that have really been the teams to capitalise on it this year. If it does allow a lot of teams to get a lot closer, could we be in, so I'm trying to get like 2012 vibes where you've kind of got teams that can be right there and kind of cause a bit of a nuisance to the top guys?
Yeah, I think if it does close it up, McLaren and Alpine in qualifying can certainly sometimes get amongst the Ferraris and Red Bulls and Mercedes.
Well, you think Monza in a few weeks, Alpine?
Yeah.
That could be spicy.
Well, Alonso's got a front row this year on merit.
Yeah.
Like, Norris qualified 4th in Hungary. Yeah. Like, it's not impossible. So, I don't think they'll suddenly jump to being, like, race-winning pace, but they could be there or thereabouts to be more annoying to the mid-races.
Yeah, exactly. You sort of want those cars as well. I mean, obviously in the perfect world, you'd have everyone fighting for the win each week, which would just be mad.
You basically want them to still be in the pit window after 15 laps.
Exactly.
That's kind of what you're aiming for,
That's
isn't it?
like the hope, isn't it, really? That's all we can sort of sensibly hope for at the moment. But yeah, new technical directive, that's going to make things very interesting. I mean, Spa, Zandvoort, Monza as well. 3 tracks that will really test the porpoising, you know, in very, very different ways. But triple header. It's our second triple... No, it's the first triple header of the year,
The first one, yeah.
It's the only one now, because Russia's obviously been binned off.
Yeah.
But, Yeah, I think we're finally Formula One's back, and we are incredibly excited. Before we get though into more news from F1 2022, should we do the quiz?
Go for it. I've no idea what you're going to ask me about, assuming it's about Spa in some capacity.
Yes, it is. And I just realised I got rid of the tab I needed for it.
Oh no!
Let me just go back quickly. Right, so I'm gonna try and change it up this week. We are gonna do a Grill the Grid style quiz, Jamie.
Ooh, okay.
So I've got to try and go in reverse order. How many years back can you go for Belgian Grand Prix winners? Starting from 2021.
Oh, I should be okay at this.
This should be... I was sort of looking back through it, and I reckon I could probably get to mid-90s.
Oh, I don't think I'll get that far. I get a bit... Can you tell me when there was a race? Because I know some
I can tell you when there wasn't a race, that's fine.
Okay.
Obviously, there's no timer on this one.
Is it timed? No, okay.
No, we'll just let you...
Right.
We'll let you cycle back.
2021, Verstappen.
Yes.
Or / not really a race, but we take it.
Exactly.
2020, Lewis.
Correct.
2019, Charles Leclerc.
Correct.
With an asterisk.
Yep. Again, there's a lot of asterisks. Asterisks.
2018, here
the
comes
only race
Sebastian
we've
Vettel.
both ever been to.
Yep.
Yep.
And Vettel won that one.
He
17
did.
was Lewis.
Yep.
When he backed off before Eau Rouge.
Yep.
On the safety car restart. 2016 was Nico Rosberg.
Yes.
15, Lewis.
Yep.
14, Danny Rick.
Yep.
When everyone thought he might do a title fight and then just didn't win ever. 2013, Vettel, first of 9 in a row.
Yep.
2012, oh dear. Oh, that was Jensen.
Yep.
Massive crash at turn 1.
Yep.
Grosjean race ban. We love it.
Last race ban in Formula 1.
It was. 2011 would have been Seb.
Yep.
2010 was Hamilton. That was a very good race. 09 was Raikkonen, but should have been Fisichella.
Should have been, yep. Nice DRS.
08. Oh, well, hang on. It was Massa.
Yeah.
But it should have been Hamilton.
Should have been Lewis, yeah.
Heidfeld P2 that race. We love it. 07. Was there a race?
Yes.
Yes. Raikkonen then.
Yep. 06 there wasn't a race.
06 there wasn't. 05 was also... No, it wasn't. No,
05 there was.
No, 05, I was going to say it was Raikkonen, but I don't think it... No, hang on. Do I have the 05 DVD? I don't actually know. Oh, no.
You can't watch the DVD quickly to make sure you get this right.
No. I was thinking, I know Raikkonen didn't win at McLaren one year, but that would have been 06. But there wasn't a Belgian race anyway. So, yeah, I'm going to say Kimi.
Yep.
04. Surely it was Michael. He won like 30 of the first 14. Was it Michael Schumacher?
No!
Oh, it was Kimi again.
16, yeah, it was Kimi again. It was the first race that Ferrari were properly outpaced that year. But obviously Michael was so far in front, it didn't really matter anymore.
Well, he already won a title by France that year, didn't he, in July?
Was that 2004? Was that 2002?
Oh, maybe that was 02.
I thought that was 02 because obviously the points,
you
got 10, then 6 points.
Yeah. And he won the championship like 8 races from the end.
Yeah. No, so Kimi Raikkonen won the Grand Prix 2004 as well. But I mean, 16 points is not bad going.
I would have been struggling to get one. I just knew that Raikkonen won loads in early 2000s, basically.
Well, that was the first one Kimi won, 2004.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got much further than that.
No, like I said, I think I could have probably got back to 2000. I might not have got DC in 1999.
And then Hill was 98, wasn't he? Because Jordan won 2.
Yeah, because Michael Schumacher and Damon Hill went on like an 8-year tear. 7 years.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Let us know if you got that far. I feel like I did it right.
You did pretty well there, honestly.
Got as far as I thought I would get, really.
Yeah, that's sensibly, I think, for us. Quite good going based on our age. But yeah, there we go then. 16 points for Jamie in this week's quiz. Very, very good job done there. Let's get into some other Formula 1 news then. Haas, apparently, are going to be bringing some upgrades to Belgium, which finally...
Yeah, they've bought one upgrade. Magnussen's had the white Ferrari since France or Hungary, I think.
France.
Or maybe it was Austria.
No, it was Austria. I'm pretty certain it was France.
So I assume they'll be bringing those upgrades to Schumacher's car as well, plus maybe some more. But yeah, the upgrade for Magnussen didn't really yield very much because they haven't scored points in the last 2 races since he had it. But then one of those he was doing well and then crashed into the back of Ricciardo at Hungary. Got his like 3rd black and orange flag of the year, I think, or something, which sums up Magnussen quite well, I think. Yeah, so hopefully for them, it does all right. They did well at tracks like Bahrain, which in my mind is quite similar to Spa. So
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, you kind of think, Haas, I'm guessing still they're focused on very much a low downforce philosophy, so Spa and your Monzas should be quite good, but Zandvoort, Singapore are not going to be fun. No. We'll have to wait and see if they manage to do that. They're obviously trying to catch Alfa Romeo for 6th in the championship, which would be very good. Well, for either of those teams to finish 6th is pretty amazing. So yeah, Alfa haven't scored points since Canada, which is a bit disappointing. Yeah, it's been really rough
but yeah,
run.
This could be a good race. Obviously, Sauber have done well in the past.
2nd and 4th in 2012 on the grid.
Yep. It could have been a double podium if
Both got taken out in turn 1.
Sorry, not Maldonado, Grosjean, the other one.
Well, Maldonado jumped the start.
Yeah, he got away from it.
That race, yeah. Kind of mad by him. I mean, what was Formula 1 in that era with Grosjean and Maldonado just stinking up the place?
Especially when they were teammates.
What were Lotus thinking?
Money, I think was what they were
Pretty
thinking.
much, yeah. They desperately needed it, didn't they? But I mean, what a weird time that was in Formula 1. Because I mean, it was even, wasn't it Spa, that Maldonado crashed into Hamilton in qualifying deliberately, didn't he?
Yeah, and only got a 5-place penalty.
Which is
for literally
mad.
tearing Hamilton's side pod apart in Q2. Yeah, very weird times. And that was after earlier in the year he crashed into Perez deliberately in Monaco in practice.
Yeah. Which always was a weird one because you never tell whether he crashed into him deliberately or just tried to turn into the next corner far too early.
Yeah, which you could never be guaranteed of with Maldonado.
Exactly. There was always that sense of what if. Before we get too far off topic again, though, speaking of upgrades, Aston Martin have confirmed they're not bringing any more this year.
Yeah, which has Seb fans in the mud.
Yeah, what about his last podium?
Everyone's hoping for this one last hurrah, but maybe the hurrah will be getting into Q2 for the.
I mean, it is. Let's be fair. I know we are often quick to judge Seb on this show, but you've got to understand. We went through watching Seb win everything, and I mean everything for years. So to see Seb suddenly not winning everything was kind of not nice necessarily, but it was nice to sort of see him get pushed. But then the fact he just has never really quite lived up to it again has been disappointing. But it's not what he deserves either, is it? To be going out in a pretty mediocre car that's not getting any more upgrades because they're too worried about old man Fernando.
Yeah. They're too worried that if they don't actually put a good car together, Fernando will just tear the team apart from the inside.
He will. I mean, he will anyway, let's be fair. It's going to take 3 races next year before he's looking off into the middle distance like he did at Brazil 2012.
Brazil 2012, yeah. Yeah, it's a shame for Seb, but yeah, I think when you win, when you have so much success based off the back of a fairly dominant car for certainly 3 of the 4 years, it's always going to be bad news if you can't live up to that in a car when your car isn't dominant anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a shame, but hopefully, he has some good times before he has to leave at the end of the year.
Yeah, even if you just get one track where the Aston Martin just sits really well or something like that, even if you can get like a P4 or a P5.
Well, he got 6th in Baku, didn't he? So
yeah.
There might be some potential there. I think the race pace of the Aston is always better than quali pace.
Oh, yeah.
So if they could qualify even like 10th or 12th, they would have a lot more of a chance in the race.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the last real talking point we've got then before we jump into Spa predictions. Of course, Max Verstappen, let's be fair, he leads the way by 80 points. Unless Red Bull completely throw it away. I think we can not safely say championship's done and dusted, but if I was a betting man, I would be putting my money on him.
Yes, I think all he needs really is a sensible second half of the season.
Exactly.
Like, even if he finishes second every race, I think he still wins it.
Yeah.
But obviously, get a few wins in, you're going to quite comfortably win it before the final race of the season, which is probably what they're aiming for at this point. So yeah, I think it's a fairly done deal that Max is going to win his second championship.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's probably actually quite a good little test for him as a driver psychologically.
Yeah.
To sort of, because obviously he's always been one that's got to go all out every race, because of course for a lot of years at Red Bull that's just what you could do because you were finishing P3 in the championship anyway.
Yeah.
But
last year was so intense and so little quarter given. You had to.
Yeah, but this is sort of the first, probably the first time in his career where he can really just sort of sit back and
chill almost.
Well, I was about to say enjoy it, but I mean I'm sure he does anyway. But you sort of think you can really just kind of enjoy the second half of this year, probably.
Yeah,
and
I think it's been a really mature season from Verstappen so far.
It has been a big change.
Like,
we've seen it in his driving style
if you've seen his start in Hungary when he started 10th on the grid, like, he was so cautious, and old Max would have just sent it and probably lost his front wing.
Yeah.
But because he's got that championship lead and because he knows the Red Bull is going to come to be finished in the top 4 basically without much difficulty, even if he starts 10th, he didn't need to risk it at turn 1. He could have just chilled and then knows that the team is going to deliver him into a good position, and his driving is going to be very good as well. It's been a cool change to see Max behaving more like an adult, really.
Well, it is just a year of maturity for him, isn't it? I think that's the thing, because last year, of course, was the ultimate test of can you live up to the pressure? You know, there was always, we spent so many years talking about, is this going to be the driver that can finally put an end to Lewis Hamilton as, like, the dominant force in Formula 1? And let's be fair, we saw cracks showing on a couple of occasions, but...
Yeah, he didn't drive with... Oh, sorry, my alarm's going off. He didn't drive with much credibility at certain times last year.
No.
But he is a sort of driver who will push the boundaries as far as he could get away with, which he shouldn't have got away with some of them looking back. But
I mean, it does make me chuckle sometimes when people say the move at the start of Abu Dhabi was fair.
I mean, based on the rules that were used throughout the season, it was fair.
But it was a
But it wasn't a fair move. No. But yeah, the likes of Brazil and Jeddah, he really didn't drive with much class.
No, exactly. But I mean, he's definitely steers more down the Michael Schumacher route than the Lewis Hamilton
Absolutely.
route.
Yeah, definitely.
At the end of the day. But yeah, I think second half of the year, the only sort of theoretically semi-sensible way, isn't it? You sort of think the championship could come away from him, is the technical regs don't suit them. It somehow really suits Ferrari, and Mercedes slot into easily the second best team. And then it's just Max and Perez fighting for like P5, P6 each week or something.
I still think Leclerc would throw... Like, he's got one podium since
exactly. Leclerc would still bottle it. It'll end up being Sainz world champion. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, this was the other thing I wanted to ask you before we finish the show, because we've now got a 5-way scrap for P2 in the championship.
P2. It's insane, isn't it?
I mean, we speak up about, we spoke so much last year about how Charles Leclerc got beat by Carlos Sainz in 2020. No, 2021, wasn't it?
2021,
last year.
Yeah.
It could happen again.
It could.
There's a very real possibility that Sainz is just the number one in that team, and none of us realise it.
Leclerc had a much better start, obviously. But yeah, he's had 2 podiums since the first 3 races of the season.
Oh.
He's had 1 podium since Miami, which is race 5.
Yep, and that was only Austria when he won.
And that was Austria when he won. So it's insane how badly it's gone. Obviously, not all of it's his fault, but stuff like France definitely was. Yeah, you kind of hope for his sake and his fans' sake that he does at least get P2 this year.
Oh, I mean,
but there's a very real possibility that he could easily finish 6th. It's that kind of season. It's that close between 2nd and 6th place, which I'm not saying he will finish 6th, but I wouldn't bet against both Mercedes jumping him if the technical regs suit them.
Yeah, well, this was what I was going to ask you. First, 3 questions then, Jamie. First of all, Sainz or Leclerc? Who finishes higher?
I think I'd back Leclerc.
You're going to back Leclerc?
Just because he's had a bit more bad luck in the first half of the season, so it's going to balance out.
Yeah. Hamilton or George Russell? Who's finishing higher?
I genuinely think George might do it.
Really?
Well, obviously
when was
Hamilton's
the
been
last
on
time
good
George
form.
beat Lewis? Because Hamilton has
It would have
closed
been,
in a
Hamilton's
lot
on
of points recently.
five podiums in a row, isn't he?
Yeah.
So it'd have been before that. What was the race before Canada?
Monaco?
Did Russell beat Hamilton at
I'm
Monaco?
pretty certain he did. Because Hamilton got stuck behind the Alpines, didn't he?
Yes, yeah, he did. So, yeah, Russell's obviously had that first pole. I don't know. I just think George has got almost more to prove. Obviously, it won't change Hamilton's career if he finishes 5th or 6th in the championship, will it? So, yeah, I think Russell might do it.
You think Russell might do it? Okay, well,
and Hamilton's also he's not had a DNF for technical reasons since Austria 2018, which is 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Surely it's going to happen.
What do you mean? Surely it's going to happen?
Well, Russell's not had any. He's only had one this year, which is when he took out Joe. So.
And he still believes he could have driven that car.
And he still could have carried on. He was just being a nice guy.
Yeah, exactly. PR63 and all that.
Yeah.
Right, final question then, Jamie. 2nd to 6th. Give me the full rundown at the end of the year.
Oh, I don't even know the points. I don't want to open a tab because it'll probably mess my camera up.
There's 32 points in it.
Can you post a picture of it in the chat real quick?
I'm worried I'll mess up mine as well. If I remember correctly, it's... So Charles Leclerc's on 178. Yeah, Perez is on 173. Russell's on 158. Sainz is on 156. Hamilton's on 146. Leclerc has got the least podiums of anyone inside the top 6 now, where he's tied with Russell on 5.
Wow, that's insane. I'll go Verstappen to win champion, obviously.
Yeah, that was kind of not the question.
It's kind of the whole narrative, because I didn't realise Perez was 3rd, to be honest. Like, it's what narrative do I think the season's going to go down? I'll go for Leclerc P2.
Okay.
Russell P3.
Okay.
Then I don't want to be too harsh on Perez. Go Perez P4, Hamilton and Sainz.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really close though. I don't think it will spread out very much.
Yes.
Between those 5.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your order?
I am going to obviously go, again, Verstappen Championship. I am going to go...
Hamilton P2.
I so want to say Hamilton 2, Russell 3. We'll go Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Sainz. But I think Perez will have an unlucky second half of the year.
Fair. Yeah, it seems harsh putting Perez down 5th or 6th because he's had a very good first half of the year.
Yeah.
But I just think the way the other 4 are coming back, it'll be hard for him to keep up that level of performance unless the Red Bull suddenly becomes dominant.
Yeah. And, of course, Red Bull are making the car more and more max-suited again.
Yeah.
Right. I guess then, before we forget, we've done a lot of predicting just then, but we've still got Belgian Grand Prix predictions to do.
Yes.
Very, very quickly.
I'm winning.
You are?
Just to remind everyone.
49 to
34. Wow.
34, is it? Sorry.
Yeah. So that's doing pretty well.
Well, it's not, but okay.
No sprint, obviously, this weekend.
No sprint till Brazil.
Oh, good. Really?
Mm.
There's only 3 this year. Yeah.
There's only 3 last year.
Yeah. I remember there was talk of them raising to 6 and stuff, but no.
Yeah.
I've just had a complete blank on what the sprint races are. I will go pole position. Obviously, it's meant to be wet all weekend, which is going to be loads of fun when they're in a tent. Raining on Saturday and maybe Sunday, apparently, which will make for a good race.
2021 repeat.
I'll tell you if I'm enjoying it at the time.
We'll do a live show whilst you're there.
Yeah. And my phone will break because of the weather. Verstappen on pole.
Okay.
Classic. Verstappen race win.
Okay.
Because I've got no creativity. Oh, it's wet. I'll go Hamilton 2nd place.
Okay.
And Charles Leclerc to get his first podium since Austria.
Fair enough. I am going to go Charles Leclerc pole. Hamilton race victory.
Oh dear. You're probably throwing a towel in, aren't you?
I'm going to go Hamilton race win. Max Verstappen P2. George Russell P3. I'm really putting my eggs
but the
in
Mercedes fanboy is back.
I just want the second half of the year to be spicy. That's why I'm going with it. And you know what? I stand by that when I walk away this weekend with 8 points. Even though I've said Charles Leclerc's going to get pole and not. Actually, that's not that bad, is it?
That's
Leclerc's
pretty realistic based on recent form, anyway.
I mean, Verstappen's had more wins than anyone else has had podiums this year.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's cool.
He's had 8 wins, and obviously he got like 4 drivers on 6 podiums.
Yeah.
It is madness. But I think that's going to wrap us up then for this week's show, Jamie. We've spoken about quite a lot there, haven't we?
Yeah, pretty good show around.
We've
probably better than usual.
Probably, yeah, but it's a pretty low baseline.
It's a pretty low bar, yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, of course, next week, like we said, when are you back from Belgium, actually?
It'll probably be have to record Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning we'll have to do.
Yeah.
So, Tuesday might work for me. I'll have to check my calendar.
Yeah, we'll work it out. It'll be Tuesday or Wednesday that comes out next week.
Tuesday or Wednesday. The show will return once more. But thank you all so much for listening as always. Like we said, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do check out the Spotify links down in the description below. But we will return then next week to review the Belgian Grand Prix and, of course, preview Zandvoort just 1 week after.